Ever wanted to know stuff but you can't? This project is for you. Technology. Technology is just stuff people make. Can't fly? Just make an airplane. Your enemy got a weapon? Just make better ones. But who made all these? Cats. That brings us to the humanities. The reason technology exists. Humanities is basically the study of people. Taking past things people done is called history. People often tell stories on what happened before. Speaking of stories, let's talk about literature. Literature is just stories people tell, which are written down. Now let's move to linguistics. People make weird noises which we call languages. Here is a map of languages. Speaking of maps, let's go to geography. Geography is just what the world is. The world has many cultures. Speaking of cultures, art shows us how a culture looks like. Music shows us how a culture sounds like. Cuisine shows us how a culture tastes like. And dance shows us how a culture feels like. It's obvious humanities is about cats. But what is a cat? Life, of course. Speaking of life, let's move to biology. But what is life? First, it has to be made up by cells. Then it should respond to stuff. And make new versions of itself. Nothing lives forever, so they just reproduce. But how do things reproduce? Well, it's cause of DNA. Pretty much the blueprint of life. Very complex, right? So where is the info stored? Maybe in a book? No, it's stored in chemicals. Speaking of chemicals, let's move to chemistry. Everything is made of atoms. But there are different kinds of atoms called elements. If there is many atoms, it would turn into a molecule. And if molecules meet and do stuff, some cool stuff will happen. That is called a chemical reaction. But ever wondered why chemical reactions don't happen every time if molecules always interact? It's because of physics. Let's move on to physics. The more bigger an object, the harder it is, the lesser it will be affected by anything. You can do the same thing with smaller objects. Oh, and also the more mass a thing has, the more attracted it is. AKA gravity. Basically, physics is just explaining the universe is just stuff moving. Also about quantum physics. It suggests the smallest things aren't things, but rather clouds of maybe. But how do we know which is which? How is how? Well, just ask math. Math is just the study of numbers. Plus is if you combine two things. Minus is if you remove things. Multiplication is just repeated addition. And division is just separating stuff into groups. If you divide or subtract things too hard, you would end up with negative numbers, which is pretty much reverse numbers. Fractions is just division plus plus. Algebra is basically us being too lazy to say big numbers, so we store them in variables. We can't perceive numbers by our senses but with our mind. Speaking about the mind, let's move on to philosophy. Philosophy is just us thinking. But if you ask big questions, why is life? Who are us? Why is universe? That's considered philosophy. Religion is the answer to those. Atheists don't believe in God. Agnostics are not sure if there is a God. And theists believe in God. So yeah, that's about it.